Please take your seats. The program will begin shortly. Please take your seats. The program will begin shortly. Please take your seats. The program will begin shortly. Please take your seats. The program will begin shortly.
In 2015, the City of Paris hosted our first Climate Action Summit with local leaders. Back then, many questioned whether mayors and local leaders could make an impact on climate change. These days, we know they can. Time and again, cities and states have delivered where national governments have fallen short, building sustainable transit, retrofitting buildings, cleaning the air, and so much more. Under Mayor Sadiq Khan's leadership, London has helped lead the way. His climate efforts have reduced citywide emissions by roughly 37%, improving air quality, all while growing the economy. Bloomberg Philanthropies has been glad to support this work through Breathe London, which shows that cleaner air, improved public health, and economic prosperity go hand in hand. And 3 years ago at London Climate Action Week, Mayor Khan and I announced Breathe Cities to get more cities to join in. This year, we are taking the work to the next level and expanding to even more cities. This would not be possible without our partners. So I want to give a special thanks to the C40 cities and the Clean Air Fund. We're looking forward to seeing the progress that comes out this week. Thanks for being part of it. All the best.
Please welcome to the stage Patty Harris, CEO of Bloomberg Philanthropies.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our entire team at Bloomberg Philanthropies, I want to welcome you to the third Local Climate Action Summit, or LCAS as we call it colloquially. A special thank you to the Mayor of London, our good friend Sadiq Khan, Secretary General Guterres, thank you. I also want to thank the City of London Corporation, the London Climate Action Week team, and so many others for your wonderful partnership this week. Our goal today is to bring together local and regional leaders from around the world to share great ideas and spur climate action. It's been incredible to see mayors and governors continue to meet the moment when it comes to leading and tackling climate change. And today is just another opportunity to raise our ambitions and deepen our connections. As you just heard Mike say, being here in London with Mayor Khan means a lot to us. We first met Mayor Khan more than a decade ago when he was running for office. We were so impressed by his ambition and talent, and clearly we weren't the only ones. I hope you remember that day too. It was a very important day for Bloomberg. You have been one of the most active mayors in the world when it comes to the fight against climate change, and London is so much the better off for it. In 2021, he told us that his bold initiative to use low-cost air quality sensors to improve air pollution. This is something that the Bloomberg administration championed in New York City. And so naturally, we were eager to support Mayor Khan's air quality efforts and have seen enormous progress. Since then, we've spread this great idea around the globe through our Breathe Cities initiative. Through it, we've helped install more than 1,200 air quality data sensors in 14 cities, passed 26 local clean air policies around the world, and these efforts have helped reduce nitrogen dioxide, a pollutant that comes from engines and power plants, by 14%. And they've saved more than 13,000 lives. Today, I'm pleased to share that Bloomberg Philanthropies will be recommitting ourselves to this work by investing another $45 million in the fight against climate change. And we'll be adding 2 more cities, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and Madrid, Spain. The latest investment will help cities install air quality sensors, use data to identify the sources of air pollution in their city, and educate residents on the issue, and so much more. Together with our partners at Clean Air Fund and, of course, C40, we will continue to improve air quality for millions of people around the globe. Here to talk more about this is the wonderful Mayor of London, Mayor Khan. Thank you.
We can do better. Come on, that was Patty Harris, come on. Well, look, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to London Climate Action Week. What started as an ambitious idea has grown into the world's largest city-wide climate festival, bringing together more than 100,000 people across over 1,300 events to share ideas, forge partnerships, and drive action. Now, I do realise there is something else taking place across the globe, which is creating huge excitement. So as a gesture of London's friendship with the Secretary-General, I wish your beloved Portugal every success, both in tonight's game and the rest of the World Cup. Unless, of course, you come up against England. But jokes aside, I want to thank the Secretary-General not only for being here today, but for his tireless efforts to keep climate action at the top of the international agenda and to hold national leaders to the promises they have made. Please join me in showing our appreciation to the Secretary-General. Now, this year marks 10 years since I was first elected as Mayor of London. When I took office in 2016, I promised to be the greenest mayor London had ever had. So rather than talk about climate action in abstract terms, let me tell you about what that decade of action looks like through the eyes of an ordinary Londoner. Imagine a Londoner waking up this morning. They step outside into a neighbourhood with more trees, more green spaces, and cleaner air than existed 10 years ago. Their children might walk to school along a school street without traffic, making the journey safer and less polluted, or attend a school with air quality filters and solar panels on the roof. Then it's time to get to work. Today they might cycle on a network that has increased fivefold in size, board one of London's 3,000 plus zero-emission buses, or travel on the Elizabeth line, the Superloop, or extensions to the Overground and Northern line that have transformed connectivity across our city. And as they travel, they're breathing cleaner air. You know, when I was first elected as mayor, I was told under the existing policies, it would take almost 200 years for London's air to meet legal standards. We did it in 9. Thanks to measures such as the ultra-low emission zone, toxic air pollution has dramatically fallen across our city, improving health and protecting future generations. Later that day, our Londoner might spend time in one of our parks, wetlands or green spaces we've improved or created as part of a programme that has seen us plant more than 640,000 trees and restore habitats across London, bringing wildlife back into our city from bats and bees, and of course our famous beavers back in London after 400 years. Those of you who know your showbiz might recognise the names. The first beaver we called Justin Beaver, the second Sigourney Beaver, and they've had kids. Now, over the last 10 years, London's carbon emissions have fallen by almost 25%. At the same time, our economy has continued to grow. Climate action has not held London back. It's helped instead drive investment, create jobs, improve public health, and enhance the quality of life of Londoners. And that's perhaps the most important lesson from the last 10 years. Climate action is not a sacrifice, it's an opportunity. But London's story doesn't end at London's borders. What we've achieved here has helped inspire action around the world. As Mike said 3 years ago, here at London Climate Action Week, Mike Bloomberg and I launched Breathe Cities. Our goal was simple: to take the lessons we had learned in New York and London and help other cities tackle air pollution and improve public health. And today, as Patty has said, Breathe Cities is expanding to support 16 ambitious cities across the globe, benefiting a combined population of 88 million people. 10 cities have committed to introducing clean air zones by 2030. And we're delighted, as you've heard, to welcome Madrid and Addis Ababa to this growing coalition of cities that are proving climate action works, or as I call them, the second and third greatest cities on the planet. Because that is the story of London, and is a story of cities everywhere. When national politics becomes difficult, cities keep moving. When others hesitate, cities innovate. When some seek to delay action, cities get on with the job. So let me end by saying this. Climate change is a global challenge that demands global leadership, international cooperation, and a shared determination to act. Few people have done more to champion that cause than our next speaker. At a time when the world needs urgency, the world needs ambition, and the world needs moral clarity, he has been a tireless advocate for climate action and a powerful voice for those most vulnerable to its impacts. It's therefore a great honour to welcome someone hope will show appreciation to by raising the roof the Secretary General of the United Nations, António Guterres.
Dear friends, it's a great pleasure to be back among leaders who are not waiting for change, but delivering it. This morning, here in London, I delivered a message to the world, and no better place to do it than London. We just heard why, thanks to the action of the mayor and its team in this city during the last 10 years. We are facing two crises, a climate crisis racing towards dangerous tipping points, one in which a temporary overshoot of the 1.5 degree limit is now inevitable, and every fraction of a degree will decide how much damage people and communities face, and an energy crisis unfolding before our eyes, driving up prices, fueling inflation, and straining families, communities, and public finance. The two crises share the same source: fossil fuels, and they demand the same answer: a fast, fair transition to clean energy and far greater protection for people already facing climate harm. No group of leaders understand this more concretely than you. You are the global ambition. You are where global ambition meets daily reality and where commitments are tested through local responsibility. You are the leaders closest to the people, the first they turn to when heat rises, floods hit, or power fails. And my message was also clear: the clean energy future is already here. Renewables are the cheapest, fastest, and most reliable sort of new power. But transition is still not fast enough, not fair enough, and not close enough to people's lives. That is why local and regional leadership is central in this regard. Because climate action becomes real through the services people rely on, the infrastructure they use every day, the air they breathe, the bills they pay, and the protection they receive when disaster strikes. And because you are turning the clean energy future from a global promise into something people can see, feel, and trust, city by city, region by region, community by community. Today, I have three asks of you. First, keep leading and over-delivering. Cities, states, and regions are already setting the bar higher than most national governments and showing what 1.5 aligned action looks like. Your actions give investors certainty and citizens confidence that climate targets will be realized. And you can go further still by turning ambition into practical solutions at scale. Second, keep using your voice and political influence. In many countries, climate action is under attack from partisan politics and fossil fuel interests, but public support remains high. 4 out of 5 people worldwide want their governments to take stronger climate action. Stand up to fossil fuel interests and their political enablers, support science and counter disinformation, and use our offices and platforms to tell the story of climate action. Better homes, better transport, better jobs, lower bills, and cleaner air. And third, keep working together and supporting each other. Geopolitical tensions and divisions are rising precisely where international cooperation and solidarity are most needed. In today's fractured world, governors, mayors, and local representatives are proving that cooperation can still deliver. Your networks and coalitions are practical, powerful, and global. Continue to share what works, practical models that others can adapt and scale, from clean energy and resilient infrastructure to local finance and community engagement. Continue to prove that solidarity is stronger than division. Dear friends, the climate fight will not be won in negotiating rooms, but through the actions we take in our communities. As we enter this era of implementation, local leaders like you have an even greater responsibility to ensure that transition moves faster, becomes fairer, and delivers security, resilience, and prosperity for all. Greater responsibility should come with a greater say in national and international processes, and you have my full support, and I hope we can transform the UN in order to make local power voice more heard and more followed in the work of the United Nations. So keep pushing national governments further. Keep delivering for your communities, keep showing what climate leadership looks like, and know that the UN will keep working closely with you every step of the way, and I thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Teresa Ribera, Executive Vice President for a Clean, Just and Competitive Transition at the European Commission.
Good afternoon, friends and colleagues. It's so good to be here today, and it is so difficult to take the floor after these two fantastic leaders. One of them leading the transformation of a great city, the other one leading the transformation of our multilateral system in a difficult time. And of course, being hosted by Patty in a moment where the combination of the different initiatives joining forces is so important. Yes, we know that climate ambition is increasingly part of the reality. We know that being part of a community that is bold and courageous is key in order to keep on building the next phase of action, the next round of ambition, the next capacity to ensure that citizens feel belonging, owning a project that defines their future. And we know that this happens at the very local level, in the streets, in the neighborhoods, in the common infrastructure, in how we can provide these solutions. It is here where the real test lies, city by city, street by street, home by home. Rebalancing global and local is being part of what we have witnessing in these recent years, and this sustained political will on climate action combines all. But it depends just as much on the shared ambition between different levels of governance. This is not to decide whether it is your responsibility, my responsibility, or the responsibility of someone else. This is shared responsibility. This is a great adventure to join efforts, to join hands, to understand that complicity among neighbors between different layers of decision is key for success. This transformation is about improving lives, delivering sustainable housing, transport, healthier environment to all. It is about mitigation, it's about greening the cities, it is about ensuring that we can live with high quality of life. Today, 47% of Europe's electricity comes from renewable sources. This is great for industries, but this is great for citizens, and this is great for cities. And there has been an increasing engagement from local communities to big cities to develop this reality. With the rooftops, with energy communities, identifying whether we speak about the sun, the geothermal solutions, the small investments that make a great difference when being added together. And yes, as the Secretary General was saying, clean energy transition is no longer only a climate imperative. It is a social shield. It is thinking on the air we breathe. It is thinking about counting on public transportation, that it is not only high quality, but it is compatible with lively cities. But it is also thinking that we can rely much more on local solutions than depending on something that we don't know how it is going to evolve, as it was the case for fossil fuels. It is thinking about energy that we can control. It is thinking and reminding ourselves that when anyone says, no, the green policies are not anymore a fashionable thing, we may speak out and say, well, I prefer to drink fresh water that is not polluted, or breathe clean air that does not bring me to the hospital. It is that what it is at stake. But this big transformation requires the funding, the efforts being supported by every different level of governance, and it needs to be transitioned in a way that is fair, that is just. Heat waves, floods, and rising pressure on infrastructure are now part of urban life. And I appreciate the efforts of Mayor Khan to give us a good example in these days to what extent this heat is with us, maybe to remain, but counting on a shadow because of the greening of the city makes our life a little bit easier. I think that if we bear in mind that social equity for a fair future is important, and the deep transformation that we are promoting requires a broad support by the citizens, we need to think about adaptation. We know that this is not necessary easy, and probably we have not paid the attention that it requires. But we have tools. We need to think on how to design resilient cities, to use innovative tools that are emerging at the very local level, so to figure out how stress tests for identifying critical environmental and social points may help citizens, mayors to take decisions, to view what a local scenario may look in different contexts, allowing to integrate data from various socioeconomic disciplines to enable tailored solutions. For example, how to treat heat islands, flood-prone areas, vulnerable housing, disadvantaged groups, percentage of the elderly population that could have much more weakness against these climate or heat impacts. This links knowledge, best available science on risk, public management, so to take sound decisions, because this is also important, to use knowledge, science, data, facts, and not lies, fakes, or wishful thinking that do create additional problems. We also innovate when we promote a combination of nature-based solutions and energy-efficient solar-powered cool public buildings, like schools, hospitals, libraries. These are safe havens for vulnerable citizens during extreme heat. And this is going to be increasingly important all over the world, because nature, to a certain extent, is our strongest ally. This is why thinking about green cities is so key. If cities are where the action happens, finance is what unlocks this action. And yes, we have been trying to develop this exercise within the European Commission, so to support initiatives coming from citizens, ensuring that access to financing and making projects bankable is there. We have been supporting the EU cities mission, so to ensure climate neutrality as smart cities developing their projects count on the back from the other levels of decision, providing good conditions and guidelines so that member states thinking about regional cohesion to take this into consideration, the small scale, the citizens, the renovation of buildings, the local action, the greening of the cities. And we also feel proud working with the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy that is so active, so effective. So to support our allies on adaptation, on reducing emissions, on affordable energy and well-isolated housing. Over 14,000 cities have joined the initiative already. Together they prove that local leadership drives both mitigation and adaptation. Building on the momentum from Belém, the work now is action on the ground. Action, 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 action. It is what people expect from us to deliver. And this is where it is my pleasure to reassure our full commitment to keep on working with you all. Thanks a lot.
Please welcome to the stage Mayor Alexander Senkovich of Mykolaiv, Ukraine, Valérie Pécresse, President of the Paris region, France, Ulf Yekul, the Head of International Adaptation to Climate Change Division, Federal Ministry for the Environment, Climate Action, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, Germany. Moderated by Mark Watts, Executive Director for C4T.
No problem. Fantastic. So this session is entitled Climate Action That Works, and we're going to be focusing on the role that local, regional, state leaders can play in driving investment, innovation, and of course, implementation on climate action. And in the context that we've heard about so much already this morning, particularly from the Secretary General, a moment of great global uncertainty, but where we see cities and states remaining one of the clearest pathways for turning climate goals into tangible results. So I am going to start first, Mayor Senkovich, with you. And I think we heard from the Secretary General just now and earlier this morning, his sort of message of the period that we're in at the moment is a tale of two crises, a climate crisis and then the mother of all energy shocks, as he put it. But in your context, you're also experiencing the ongoing effects of a devastating war in Ukraine. And yet, you have been using, as Mayor, the City Climate Finance Gap Fund to improve energy security while accelerating your climate goals, all whilst you're dealing with that conflict. Can you just tell us, how are you thinking about issues like energy alongside economic development whilst also managing security?
Thank you for the question. It's a big honor for me to be here today with you. As you understand, today in Ukraine, we have bigger problems than the energy saving, green transition and decarbonization, but in the same time, we think about it and we implement it. We started the project, for example, the city of Mykolaiv. It's a 500,000 city, which a port, second biggest port in Ukraine. We are situated 50 kilometers from the front line, and we were the city that stopped Russian invasion in 2022 and pushed the Russians back to the temporary occupied territories. We understood, well, the wartime, that the energy independence, it's not only about efficiency and green transition, it's more about survival and energy independence. Before the full-scale invasion, we started to cooperate with the World Bank on changing of our boiler house. In Mykolaiv, we have different kind of temperatures, like from -10 up to 55 by Celsius. And we have district heating enterprises, which we started to modernize, and at the end of the project we had 35% economy of the natural gas. So we decreased the amount of consumption and increased the efficiency of these boiler houses, which actually helped us to save some money to move forward with the changes of the networks of these pipes. Together with EBRD, we started to change our public transportation from the one that use fossil energy resources to energy-saving trolley buses and trams. Again, trolley buses with the batteries that gave us ability to move with the 20 kilometers without the charging, gave us a really efficient way to work while the blackouts. As you understand, Russia attacks our energy infrastructure, leaving us without the energy, the electricity, and so on. So that's why we have to think to be creative. And in the same time, we do all these changes on our enterprises, implementing the solar panels, the gas pistons, and so on, to be more independent from the central grid. And at the same time, we are ready to share with this experience with the world, because we say that to have the resilient city, you need to have it decentralized. Because we try to centralize everything in the modern world. But the key to resilience is to decentralize, to have it like a backup. And moreover, together with our rockets today in Ukraine, we help Russia to be less carbonized. Destroying the oil processing plants, we move them to the bicycles. So I hope that this, let's say, involvement in a green transition from Ukraine will also be valued. In the end, I will say that our city, as a partner of United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, we work on a master plan. With that, we plan to implement after the end of the war. Together with Bloomberg Philanthropies, we use the best practices and we involve youth as a moving force to not only think about future, but plan it and prepare projects to implement them after the end of the war. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And I don't want to steal your line, but you used an amazing phrase in a meeting earlier when you say, you're not building back better.
Right. But yeah, we review the war not only as a disaster, but as a chance to rethink our existence and the future of our city. So we don't want to build back better, build back greener, but build forward greener.
All right, build forward greener. I like that phrase.
Thank you.
So President Pécresse, turning to you and Ile-de-France, one of the biggest challenges facing climate action everywhere, it's a constant theme in these kind of gatherings, is mobilizing the scale of investment that we need to move from laudable commitments to real implementation. In Ile-de-France, you've been such a pioneer in showing how regional government can really be innovative in the use of financial tools, particularly around green bonds, but also decarbonisation funds. So perhaps if you can give us some insight in the lessons that you have learned about using those tools to accelerate climate action and how regional governments can most actively partner with the finance sector, with investors to mobilise that capital.
Absolutely. Here today I represent Paris region, so 12 million inhabitants, one of the most populated regions of Europe, but I also represent Regions 4 and the Under 2 coalition. Why regions? Regions because we are architects of ecological transition. We are enablers because we fund local governments in order to help them to do the ecological transition investments. And we are also equalizers. Equalizers because Paris, of course, is the richest city in France. But around Paris, you have the poorest suburbs of the country, and you have also 75% of rural areas. And the region is made of territories that are very different. And as you know, we are suffering an unprecedented heat wave in Paris at the moment, which is lasting. It's been lasting for already 10 days, and which makes the country on its knees because we are not prepared to live above 40 degrees. And you're talking about financing ecological transition. Ecological transition is about mitigation, but it's also about adaptation to climate change. And as you know, regions represent, local governments represent 80% of the investment in ecological transition, and we only receive 10 to 20% of the international funds for ecological transition. So, of course, we need to borrow. We need to leverage our public funds with private funds and find investors. And for example, in my region, we launched 10 years ago when I was elected, the Revolution for Transportation, for a public transportation system. Some of you may have come to Paris and may have seen some of our major investments for the Olympic Games, for example. And we are opening 300 kilometers of new metro lines, and we are changing basically all the trains, all the buses, all of the trams, and we are decarbonizing them, and this is a 30 billion investment. And to fund this 30 billion investment, we went to the markets and we launched the first, I think, European green bonds issuance. And we were oversubscribed 3 times by the markets. Why? Because, of course, the banks and investors have ESG obligations. And investing in ecological transition is bankable. And that's what I came here to tell you. It's bankable because of course, if we do clean transportation, we have more people in our transportation system. And that's what happened in France. And we had the opportunity to give a single ticket for €2 for the whole 12 million inhabitants of the region. And that's a game changer in the use of transportation. And of course, we have, for the first time in the history of France, a decrease in the use of private cars. So that's what I came here to tell you. It's bankable to work on ecological transition. And we also put on foot a decarbonization fund. What is a decarbonization fund? It's a fund where the region is putting around 50 million, and we are leveraging this fund with the private sector, with private banks, with private investors. And we take stakes in the SMEs that are very active into the ecological transition, to make them grow, to make their products cheaper, and we are doing that. So yes, I think we can attract private investments, and that's what I came to tell you. We are also leader of a European program which is called GreenGov, and which includes your city, dear Mayor, and lots of European regions. GreenGov is a European Union funded program which makes all the local governments look at how we can benchmark the best initiatives in ecological transition, the ones which give the best yield, the best return on investment. So yes, finance should be mobilized. We need the funds. We need the funds to invest in the future, and we, public, local governments, we de-risk these investments, because of course we cannot go bankrupt, because of course we are planning forward, and so it's a safe bet to invest in ecological transition, and I hope the Bloomberg Foundation will take the lead on this subject.
Wonderful. It's a very clear message for any mayors or governors thinking about issuing a green bond. They are bankable. And I think that, that story of 3 times oversubscribed, I hear that in so many places. So it's a tragedy that not all local authorities and regional authorities have the ability to be able to issue green bonds, but we know they really work, and we need to unlock those powers. Okay, moving along now, Mr. Jäkel, and you were introduced as the head of international adaptation of the climate division in the German federal government. But of course, you're also in that capacity serving as the co-chair of the Coalition for High Ambition Multi-Level Partnerships, CHAMP, initiative at C40 we're very invested in, which is helping national governments work with subnational governments in partnership in delivering climate actions. And we've heard a lot of great projects from states, from cities today, but for those to work, they often need financing from higher levels of the public sector, from government, and from private sources. So from the perspective of national climate strategies and investment frameworks, how do you ensure that local governments are not just the recipients of funding, but genuinely co-designers in it?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Indeed, this is a tricky question. It's not given. If you work in politics, then you know how difficult it is working across the levels and taking into account multiple voices in your country, in your regions, bigger cities, but also the smaller cities. Therefore, it's the multilateral partnership has the momentum is there, but it has to be taken up seriously. And because climate action, as we heard, becomes real in cities and regions, mitigation and of course also adaptation. And that's where CHAMP comes in, and we think CHAMP is so important. We enter a new phase with these 77 endorsing countries and the EU in endorsing CHAMP. We have a government-led structure now. We have a steering group of governments. We have an advisory board of regions and cities, which will meet tomorrow for the first time. And there we will work on, I would say, a number of issues. We have worked on an implementation roadmap, which will be launched later today here, looking at strengthening recognition and the uptake of multi-level governance, catalyzing partnership in countries, and also, of course, looking at the scaling up and unlocking of finance. For bigger cities, bigger regions, it's easier than for smaller ones or medium-sized ones. For them, issuing bonds is not that easy, maybe. So the finance architecture also has to better reflect the needs of the local authorities and the local level, and of course also a bit vice versa. So that's where we are working on. We are not creating new institutions, new processes and adding to the overall relatively complex climate policy on the multi-level level, but we will work with the institutions already in place from the finance sector, but also the institutions like C40, GCOM, and ICLEI. We will work with the Secretariat at the World Resources Institute, generously supported by Bloomberg Philanthropies, and we will work towards the aim that having a higher recognition of the importance of a multi-level partnership, coming together, working together in designing climate policy with the local level, with the regional level, and on the national level. That's what we are working on in the coming years, and we hope that you will join us in working with that as endorsing country or partner of CHAMP. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think a very well-deserved round of applause. Germany's leadership, along with Brazil, of the CHAMP initiative is so important to that multi-level collaboration. I think we've got time for one lightning-fast final round. It's going to be, oh no, I'm getting the shake of the head. We've not got time for one lightning-fast last question. So let's have a huge round of applause for this fantastic panel. Thank you, everyone.
Please welcome to the stage Lord Mayor Nick Rees of Melbourne, Australia, and Mayor Kate Gallego of Phoenix, USA.
Well, hello everyone. It's so great to be here. Let's start with a quick show of hands. Put your hand up if you used your phone for an AI search today or to catch the tube here.
Okay, so almost everyone. In Phoenix, we're even using our phones to book autonomous cabs, robo-taxis. When we do a quick AI prompt, we're using 10 to 30 times more energy than if we used a traditional search engine. What makes it possible for Lord Mayor Rees and I on both sides of the globe isn't just our phones, though, it's data centers. You may think of data centers as big buildings out in rural areas, but these services rely on data centers that are located in cities, with more than 1,700 data centers operating in C40 cities alone.
Our digital economies are growing fast, from banking to health to AI. So is the digital infrastructure boom and its massive appetite for urban resources. London alone has 67% of the entire United Kingdom's data centre capacity. On the other side of the world, in the city of Melbourne, planned data centres could request up to 20 billion litres of water. That's 4% of our city's water use.
In Phoenix, the current pipeline of data centers would double our utility's total electricity demand. And with these data centers emitting significant heat, there are real impacts for a city like Phoenix, where we confront extreme summer temperatures. Mayors have a key role to play. We control zoning, climate, and key business policies that can help shape the data center sector. Recent polling in the United States from America is All In makes two fundamental points clear. Voters trust local governments more than any other level of government on data centers, and voters are much more supportive of data centers when they're powered by clean energy. As mayors, we have an opportunity to step in now to shape the future so that we can harmonize this growth with our climate goals and our residents' well-being.
So today, we are proud to announce the launch of the first of its kind, a world-first Global Urban Data Centres Pact. A mayoral-led vision setting out the conditions that we mayors believe are essential for sustainable, high-performing urban data centres. The pact covers 4 key areas.
First, strategic integration. Data centers should be good neighbors, revitalizing old spaces, respecting local residents, and protecting the health and quiet of our communities. In Phoenix, our zoning ordinance encourages data centers to develop in the right locations, to improve the streetscape and be a good neighbor. Second, sustainability. We're pushing for data centers to leave the fossil fuels in the ground and the drinking water for our residents, bringing their own clean energy to our grid. We've seen how this is possible around the world. London is finding ways to use heat generated by data centers to heat neighboring buildings.
Thirdly, community engagement. We invite data centres to work with cities like true partners, investing directly in our local communities and engaging with our residents directly. In Des Moines, there's an inspiring example. The industry has invested directly into local training programs for underserved communities. And fourth, affordability. We believe data centres can be good neighbours. We're making sure that data centres cover the cost of infrastructure needed so our residents will never foot the bill for their power, their water, or network upgrades in the form of higher monthly bills. In Melbourne, data centres already have to pay for the water, sewage and recycled water infrastructure upgrades they need, so our residents don't have to cover all of those costs.
What we're doing here is putting forward a mayoral vision for the future in which cities all around the world have data centers that will power our digital world on clean energy, leaving water for our communities, grow in alignment with our city's plans, and lift neighborhoods up rather than pushing them out. Support our local economic engines, investing in green jobs and funding resilient infrastructure that serves all residents.
It's not just Mayor Gallego and I bringing this vision forward. Over 40 cities from every continent, representing an amazing 90 million people, have now endorsed this pact. And just this morning, we had Copenhagen and Curzon City join us in endorsing. Give it up for those two great cities as well. And I've got to say, if the conversation's going on in the corridors of this conference or anything to go by, there are a lot more cities coming. There are a lot more cities coming. And so this is a great example of people standing up. But cities can't deliver it alone. So we call on all levels of government to work with the private sector, to work with us to drive the development of urban data centres which meet these new standards.
Together, we can create an ambition loop that ensures the sector's growth will not come at the expense of our climate targets, our natural resources, or energy prices. Join us. Let's make this building rush a race to the top.
Kate.
Please welcome to the stage Josh Parker, Head of Sustainability at NVIDIA, Mayor Eileen Higgins of Miami, USA, Governor Mateus Simões of Minas Gerais, Brazil, His Excellency Majid Al-Suwaidi, CEO, Ultera. Moderated by Francine Lacroix, Anchor and Editor-at-Large at Bloomberg.
Hello, everyone.